final update on our potato harvest. But before we get into the actual results of the hilling method versus the hay method, I want to talk about the things that are important for us here on the homestead. So the initial preparation for the ground is really important. So what we did for the hay method, we just pretty much put down a piece of cardboard underneath it, and then we just covered it up with hay. Pretty simple, because we had to do the same amount for the hilling method because we ended up having to break apart the round bales. So it kind of took about the same amount of time as far as the haying and the hilling, just based on the hay. But then if you look at the additional time that it took for the hilling, we had to till the ground. We tilled the ground 3 different times. Then we had to plant, which we had to do in both of them, so that was about a wash either way. And then finally we had to go ahead and make the hills and then cover it up with hay. So I think on the traditional hilling method we spent probably 3 times the amount of energy as far as labor time putting it together. So that's definitely one strike against the hilling method. The next part comes down to weed control. So for us, weed control, the hay did a great job. It kept out the weeds. It kept in the moisture. When we dug down, we saw moisture really well on both of them, which was really good. So we didn't have to water either one. So that was another nice benefit as far as we didn't have to use any of our rainwater for that. So that was a great benefit. And then when it comes down to harvesting, how long did it take to harvest? Which was pretty amazing. So on the hay method, when we harvested, it took us about 30 minutes. And when we did the traditional hilling method, it took about 1 hour and 15 minutes to harvest the same quantity as far as amount of potatoes. So again, another strike against the hilling method. And the final piece to talk about is, well, what was the results? How much did we get back as far as yield? So on the hay method, we put in 10 pounds of potatoes, seed potatoes, and on the traditional hilling method, we put in 20 pounds. So if we got like yield, you would expect that the traditional hilling method would deliver double the amount. So on the 10 pounds that we put in on the hay method, we ended up getting back 220 pounds, which was great. I mean, a good harvest, so we got 22 times what we put in the ground. So we were excited about that. One of our better crops that we've had on potatoes. And then when we went with the traditional hilling method, we ended up putting in 20 pounds of potatoes, and we got back 320 pounds of potatoes in that particular area. So we ended up getting 16 pounds back for every pound we put in. So when you look at the comparison as far as the quality of the potato now, we'll see what happens there. So on the hilling method, or traditional hilling method in haying, we ended up having really nice potatoes. No eyes on them, really clean, looked great. When we talk about the haying method now, we had probably about 20% of the haying method that actually did start to have some eyes on it. So we're not sure if we waited too long to dig them, too much moisture, if the hay